The Qliphoth and the tunnels of Set are esoteric concepts found in the Nightside current of Western occultism within the left-hand path tradition, elucidated in the Typhonian writings of Kenneth Grant, and first mentioned in Aleister Crowley's Liber 231, the Book of the Jinn or the Gates of Sorath. These structures are seen as the inverse or shadow aspects of the Tree of Life in Kabbalah, representing a map of the human psyche's deepest, often forbidden or chaotic dimensions. The Qliphoth is a term from Jewish mysticism meaning shells or husks. In traditional Kabbalah, they represent the residue of creation, imperfect or corrupted aspects that were cast off during the process of divine emanation. Rather than reflecting divine harmony, the Qliphoth embody forces of imbalance, impurity, or unrestrained power. In darker esoteric systems, however, they are not merely evil or rejected forces, but are understood as necessary aspects of spiritual evolution, gateways to self-knowledge, transformation, and mastery through confrontation with inner shadow and chaos. The structure of the Qliphoth mirrors the Tree of Life. Where the Tree of Life has 10 Sephiroth, spheres, the Tree of Death has 10 corresponding Qliphothic realms, each ruled by demonic or chaotic entities. These spheres are presented in descending order, starting from Thaumiel at the top, the duality of opposing forces in conflict, all the way down to Lilith or Nehemoth at the bottom, representing illusion, sexual distortion, or the dream realm. Each Qliphothic sphere challenges the initiate to confront specific aspects of the subconscious: raw desire, power hunger, deceit, rage, illusion, or spiritual inertia. The goal is not to be consumed by these forces, but to integrate their lessons, mastering the energies and transmuting them into personal empowerment and deeper understanding of the self and cosmos. The journey through the Qliphoth is called the Nightside, or adverse tree, working, and is considered a path of individuation through shadow alchemy. Connecting the Qliphothic spheres are hidden paths known as the tunnels of Set. These tunnels are named after the Egyptian god Set, associated with darkness, chaos, isolation, and transformation. The concept of the tunnels was expanded upon primarily by Kenneth Grant in his Typhonian trilogies, where he describes them as astral or psychic passageways that lie behind the visible paths of the Tree of Life. While the traditional Tree of Life has 22 paths connecting its Sephiroth corresponding to the Hebrew letters and tarot trumps, the Nightside tree has its own 22 corresponding tunnels, but they move through a chaotic shadow realm that exists beneath or behind the surface of ordinary consciousness. Each tunnel is governed by a particular demonic or chthonic intelligence and serves as a corridor through specific psychological or magical challenges. These tunnels are not linear. They can shift, spiral, collapse, or double back depending on the consciousness of the magician. They represent the deeper strata of the mind, including dream logic, madness, taboo, alien intelligences, and other non-human modes of awareness. Working with them involves dream work, astral projection, path working, or ritual magic to intentionally enter altered states and explore these inner realms. The tunnels of Set are not simply dangerous or evil. They are regarded by initiates of the left-hand path as necessary for spiritual evolution through self-overcoming. They force the practitioner to confront illusions of self, dismantle egoistic delusions, and embrace the alien and transgressive aspects of reality. These experiences can be deeply unsettling, but they are also seen as opportunities for radical insight, creativity, and transformation. The Qliphoth and the tunnels of Set represent a map of the Nightside of consciousness, the hidden, chaotic, and often rejected parts of the soul and the universe. They are not approached lightly, as they demand psychological resilience and spiritual intent. For those who undertake the path, the journey is not about worshiping evil or chaos, but about encountering and integrating the full spectrum of existence, including what lies in the dark, in order to become whole, liberated, and self-sovereign. In Kabbalah, the Qliphoth are the shadow side of the Sephiroth. Each sphere has its own name, attributes, what kind of power, lesson, or force it represents, and a guardian or ruling entity, usually a demon, archdemon, or chaotic force. Let's examine each of the 10 Qliphothic spheres. Thaumiel. This is the twin-headed crown of the Qliphoth, the dark mirror of Kether, The crown. It represents division and duality in its most intense form. Two contending powers in constant struggle. It embodies pure conflict, separation, and destructive creative force. The rulers here are Satan and Moloch, twin demonic kings who embody ultimate rebellion and domination. Chigidel, the shadow of Chokmah, wisdom. It represents deception, distorted wisdom, and false illumination. It's the realm of twisted knowledge, where truth is hidden behind layers of lies. The ruling intelligence here is Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies, symbolizing corruption and decay of wisdom. Cetheriel, the dark reflection of Bina, understanding. It's the realm of concealment and mystery, where truths are veiled or inverted. This sphere is connected with illusions of spiritual insight and hidden structures of power. The ruling archdemon is Lucifuge Rofocale, often called the one who flees the light, embodying the refusal of illumination. Gamchikoth, the shadow of Chesed, mercy. This is the sphere of devourers, forces that break down and consume the structures of creation. It represents corrupt wealth, greed, and excess. The ruler here is Astaroth, a demonic prince linked to hidden knowledge, vanity, and forbidden sciences. Golachab, the shadow of Gebura, severity. This sphere channels destructive power and uncontrolled aggression. It represents violence, war, and burning wrath unleashed without discipline. The ruler here is Asmodeus, the demon of lust, rage, and unrestrained force. Thaguron, the dark reflection of Tifereth, beauty. It represents hypocrisy, false beauty, and the perversion of harmony. It is the sphere of discord disguised as balance, false messiahs, and empty ideals. The archdemon here is Belphegor, a lord of sloth, invention, and distorted creativity. Harab-Serapel, the shadow of Netzach, victory. This is the realm of the ravens of death, representing chaos in love, art, and desire. It's a place of poisoned victory, where passion leads to decay. Its rulers are Baal and Balberith, forces of dark fertility and corrupted pleasure. Samael, the shadow of Hod, glory. This is a domain of lies, trickery, and poison. It embodies perverse intellect, sorcery, and deception for selfish ends. The ruling demon here is Adramelech, a fiery and deceitful spirit linked to hidden ambitions and manipulation. Gamaliel, the shadow of Yesod, foundation. This sphere is often called the obscene ones, or the black moon. It rules distorted dreams, sexual perversion, and hidden subconscious currents. Its queen and ruler is Lilith, the dark goddess of night, sexual power, and shadow wisdom. Nehemoth, the shadow of Malkuth or kingdom. This is the realm of night specters and the whispering dead. It represents illusion, noise, and the distorted reflection of the material world. It is ruled by Nama, the sister, double of Lilith, associated with temptation, seduction, and the threshold between worlds. The tunnels of Set are a complex and subtle map in Kenneth Grant's Typhonian or Nightside Kabbalah. They correspond to hidden, shadow paths behind or beneath the ordinary tree of life, Qliphoth structure. Because Grant's system is symbolic, fluid, and intentionally mysterious, not all tunnels are given fixed names or attributes in every source, and occult practitioners may choose to adapt or vary them. Let's take a look at each of the tunnels of Set as explored by Kenneth Grant in Nightside of Eden. Amprodeus. Amprodeus is the first tunnel. Its imagery is one of flux, primal chaos, opening and closing, the gaping mouth, the threshold of becoming and unbecoming. It functions as a kind of fool's portal, not innocence but raw potential. Amprodeus is associated with madness, the void, trickster energies, and extreme transformation of identity. Barachiel. Barachiel is the second tunnel. The name evokes conflict or judicial power. As a tunnel, it is sometimes portrayed as encountering rigid forces of judgment, law, or opposition. It challenges the magician to pass through barriers that judge or limit, forcing a redefinition or collapse of accustomed moral or psychological structures. Gargophias. Gargophias is the third tunnel and is among the more elaborated tunnels in Nightside of Eden. Grant uses atavistic imagery, describing lemurine monsters and monstrous shapes that swarm in this path, things that are half becoming in the deep, dark recesses of the unconscious. The tunnel is said to underlie the paths of the tree, and to feed shells and shadows of things that have not yet been entified, i.e. unformed potential, into the manifest world. The astral fluid in this tunnel is charged with chaotic potential. It is a corridor where nascent forms or aborted selves linger and may be drawn into. Dagdagil. Dagdagil is the fourth tunnel. Grant gives some symbolic clues. The name Odd appears on the sigil of Dagdagil, connected with the magical light that flows from the yoni of Odudua, and in the tunnel it appears as a pyramid. This tunnel is also linked with sexual symbolism with the web or spider, web of tunnels, above it, and with disease or corruption in its lower expression. Hemethtereth. Hemethtereth is the fifth tunnel of Set. Grant gives fewer explicit narrative details than for Gargophius or Amprodius, but it is part of the descending sequence where chaos, mutation, fragmentation of self, and confrontations with non-being intensify. Because of its position, it is often interpreted as a threshold tunnel. One has passed through earlier gateways, and now deeper levels of alien or atavistic energy press in more strongly. Urians. Urians is the sixth tunnel. Grant includes its name and sigil but less descriptive narrative. In some interpretations, Urians is associated with solar or leonine energies inverted, or with the distortion of bright forces into shadow forms. It is a tunnel where luminous intention is twisted, so that the magician sees how even good energies have their dark reflection. Zamradiel. Zamradiel is the seventh tunnel. It is perhaps one of the more developed in secondary occult literature. It is associated with the lovers, in inverted form, with trial, bilocation, dream shape shifting, vampirism, deception, and working with sexual or psychic energy as a gateway. Grant himself gives a few symbolic hints and includes its sigil. Its name begins with Z, matching the Hebrew path Zain in some mapped correspondences. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the eighth tunnel. It is linked it with challenges of identity, distorted mirror self, reflection illusions, the betrayal of seeming knowledge, and perceptual traps. It becomes a tunnel where the magician meets the other self, or phantom double, and encounters illusions that beguile and mislead. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the ninth tunnel. In Nightside of Eden, Grant mentions the nature of these 3 degrees and their 6 major divisions in relation to consecration, orgasm, or ecstatic work, the priest-priestess roles, and links them to the 13th and 18th callus in the tunnel of Qliphoth for supernal infernal operations. In secondary sources, Qliphoth is sometimes seen as a tunnel of synthesis or pivot, the boundary where energies of descent may be turned or integrated. Yamatu. Yamatu is the 10th tunnel. Its name suggests a domain of veils, mutualities, or reciprocal distortion. In occult commentary, Yamatu involves shared erotic currents as magical force, mirrored distortion of relational exchange, boundary dissolution in couples or unions, and the interaction of shadow others. Kurgasiax. Kurgasiax is the 11th tunnel. Kurgasiax is connected with warping of will, entropic collapse of ordered magical structures, and the pressure of non-human agency intruding into human volition. Lafkursiax. Lafkursiax is the 12th tunnel. It is viewed as a spectral or watery tunnel, transformation through dissolution, where forms melt, reverse, and recoagulate. It is a doorway of metamorphosis. Its darkness is mutable. Malkunofat. Malkunofat is the 13th tunnel. It lies deeper, closer to the black roots. Some consider it as a mirror of Malkuth, the realm of manifestation, but inverted. In this tunnel, one confronts the shadow kingdom, the splintered reflections of material reality, illusions that masquerade as substance. Nianchal. Nianchal is the 14th tunnel. In Nightside of Eden, Grant refers to these tunnels in terms of the world of dreams and night specters, and Nianchal is often placed near those border zones. It becomes a path of dream control, twilight beings, spectral echoes, and the whispering of half-formed ghosts. Saksaksalim. Saksaksalim is the 15th of the tunnels. Its name has a stuttering, echoing quality. Interpreters see it as a tunnel of repeated motifs, obsessive loops, recursive patterns. It may test the magician's power to break out of self-repetition, compulsive imagery, and mental echo chambers. A'anonin. A'anonin is the 16th tunnel. In occult commentary, this tunnel is often connected with sexual taboo, inversion of norms, ritualized erotic actions. The magical powers are associated with the witch's Sabbath and the evil eye. Parphaxitus. Parphaxitus is the 17th tunnel. Grant's Nightside of Eden touches on atavisms and the beasts in the tunnel of Parphaxitus. He mentions mermasks, were-masks, beast transformations, etc., in the context of typhonic metamorphosis. In the Typhonian system, Parphaxitas is a site of primal animal forms, shape-shifting, boundary breakdown between bestial and human, and ungoverned instinct. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the 18th tunnel. In occult elaboration, it is seen as a tunnel of veiled chaos, hidden energies, forced concealment, entropic currents that act behind the scenes. It is a darker background conduit rather than a place of outward spectacle. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the 19th tunnel. Its place is one of relation to sorcery, illusions manifesting in shadow realms, and manipulations of psychic glamour or glamour wraith techniques. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the 20th tunnel. Its name suggests ripple, flux, sliding motion. Some occultists view it as a corridor of sliding illusions, traces, ghost echoes, sliding meaning, transitions between states of perception. Qliphoth. Qliphoth is the 21st. It is the penultimate tunnel. In the mythic framing, Qliphoth is linked to the tunnels of fire or serpentine webs, and its name is used in occult catalogs and in Liber 231 in its reverse aspect. It becomes a passage where one is tried by flames of the abyss, tested by the serpentine web of tunnels. Thantifaxath. Thantifaxath is 22nd. It is the final tunnel. It is often considered the deepest passage, the most alien, the furthest from human frames of reference. Because it is the end of the backward descent, it is sometimes conflated with the ultimate darkness or the alien abyss itself. Beyond form, beyond vision, where the distinction between self and non-self dissolves. In Grant's conception, the tunnels of Set act as wormholes or secret passages connecting the Qliphothic spheres, or between them, in the Nightside, Universe B, behind the visible tree of life. Access is usually via Daath, the abyss, the hidden or false Sephira, and involves traversing the back of the tree. The tunnels are not always linear or stable. They can shift, fold, collapse, or intersect in unexpected ways. They are often symbolic or imaginal, existing in dream, night, or subconscious states, more than spatial in a strict sense. Grant describes them as a network of dream cells in the subconscious mind, reachable via Daath, the gateway of manifestation, non-manifestation. Each tunnel is meant to correspond, in a dark mirror way, to one of the 22 paths of the front side tree. But in the Nightside, these become hidden, inverted, or chaotic passages. Different tunnels may have different kinds of ordeals: guardians, symbolic correspondences, tarot, Hebrew letters, planets, atavistic powers, and teaching functions. To understand how Daath functions as a wormhole into the Qliphoth, the tunnels of Set, and what Kenneth Grant calls Universe B, we have to approach it not as a fixed place, but as a rupture, a psychic rip in the fabric of ordered reality. Daath is where the structured world of the Sephiroth gives way to something else entirely: the unknown, the shadow, the alien. It is a metaphysical singularity, and in Grant's system, it is the entry point into an entirely different current of being. Kenneth Grant reimagines this descent as the transition from Universe A to Universe B. Universe A is the world of structured manifestation, the tree of life, the ordered cosmos, human consciousness as it knows itself. Universe B is the shadow world behind it, the hidden, reversed, or Nightside tree. The tunnels of Set are the connective tissue of this Nightside universe. They are the anti-paths that twist behind the known paths of the tree, threading through the Qliphothic shells, not as dead ends, but as living, breathing tunnels full of forgotten forces, dream beings, atavisms, and alien intelligences. Grant's linking the tunnels of Set with extra-cosmic or alien intelligences draws parallels to the great old ones in Lovecraft's mythos. In his view, traversing the tunnels may bring one into contact with monstrous chthonic powers, forces outside the framework of ordinary human gods, and ultimately outside the circles of time.